Welcome back to the stock portfolio update videos. Currently, my two stock portfolios sit at a combined value of just under $120,000. That's made up of the $64,125 in my stake portfolio and then the $55,513 in my Vanguard portfolio. As you can see, today I'm going to be discussing these pending distributions and dividends. In my stake portfolio, I also just recently received some dividends, which is why I have nearly $67 in that account as well. This is going to be my biggest ever month for dividends, which is going to be pretty exciting for me, as I am not a dividend investor, but I plan to reinvest all these dividends back into my portfolio. I'm also going to explain what gave me these dividends and what I've been doing with my dividends over history, as I show you my track record with how many dividends I've earned each month over a few years. If we start off by just having a quick look at my stake portfolio, as you can see, all the holdings have stayed the same. I actually haven't invested any money this last week again, but I will next week when the pay comes in, as I have been putting money into other things such as growing my savings and then paying for a holiday. So that is why a lot of my portfolio appreciation lately hasn't been through deposits, but it's just been through capital gains. If we have a look at my portfolio, everything's still the same. So Apple, Amazon, Costco, Google, Microsoft, and VOO. VOO is the one that paid my big dividend for this stake account. I get quarterly dividends from VOO, and this just tracks the S&P 500, and it's my biggest portfolio position in this portfolio at around 18,881 USD. I'm up around 36% in total, with an average buy price of $420 a share, as I've dollar cost averaged into this position over the years. It's had a pretty good year, up 12.8% in the last year, even with this downturn recently, but if you were smart enough to invest during this time, you've really seen some great gains in the last month, up around nearly 5%, and even in the last 6 months. So that's the importance of being a long-term investor, and if you were getting any dividends in this time, you could have reinvested them. In my Vanguard portfolio, you can see I'm going to be getting $481 in dividends, so a bit smaller than my last quarter, but that's okay. And that's made up of the 126 shares that I have in VLC, which is my largest dividend payer by far in terms of the yield. And I did sell around $6,000 of that and move that into VGS. That's one of the reasons why this dividend is a bit smaller. But again, it's only around $10, $20 smaller. And then VGS, which tracks the international shares, and I have 311 shares of that, and that's been doing pretty well. It's now back up to $142 a share, and it was something that I was buying the dip on. So that's what makes up this $500 pretty much, and I do plan on reinvesting all this money into VGS, so hopefully I can get that position closer and closer to $50,000 in the near future. Overall, I'll quickly show you guys my dividend spreadsheet. So in my normal spreadsheet, I just have this where I've been tracking my dividends over the past few years, and you can see the growth over time. Of course, I haven't updated this to my recent dividends that I'm about to receive yet, because I update this at the end of every single month. So last month, you can see, wasn't a big dividends month for me. Again, nothing in my Vanguard account, but then $15 in my stake account. So you can kind of see my dividend history over time. It's going slowly up and to the right. I did used to own more dividend paying stocks in my stake portfolio, such as JP Morgan, McDonald's, things like that, but I have been really focused on capital gains now, so I've kind of pivoted my portfolio a little bit. And then in my Vanguard account, you can see a nice steady growth over time, and I plan for that to continue. If any of my viewers might have watched any of my older videos, I did say that my plan for 2025 was to hit $2,000 in dividends, and I think I will hit that target now. So even if we just say obviously around $480 for this dividend, and then let's say my next one is also in the 400s, and let's just say I average around $400 for all my dividend payments, that will take me to around $1,600 or even $1,700, which will be great. And then even if you have a look at my dividends last year, I got around $293 USD in my stake portfolio. So if you convert that to AUD, that's over 400. So I should definitely hit $2,000, which is pretty good. And then as I continue to dollar cost average into my portfolio and buy even more and more shares, I should be able to even grow that even more, and whilst I reinvest my dividends. So again, I do preface by saying I'm not a dividend investor. There's people with much bigger yields than I have on this portfolio that's a similar size, and they'll get obviously a lot more dividends. But All my dividends, I just kind of track them here because it's good fun, and I just count a dollar cost average over time, because if any of you have seen those calculators which shows dividends reinvested versus not, you really got to see over a long period of time the great growth that you can get by just reinvesting those dividends every single time you get them. Looking back at my portfolios, like I said, a goal of mine is to get VGS to 50,000. As I start investing again for these next few months, I should be able to hopefully hit that in, give or take, the next 4 months or so. Counted that I will obviously be putting money into my stake account as well. But yeah, that is a goal of mine, to get that to $50,000. Another goal of mine is obviously to save for a investment property this year. So that is one of the reasons why I won't be putting all my money into my stock portfolio. But luckily enough, because of the hard work I've done in previous years, I have been kind of fortunate this year. So I got my portfolio to $100,000, and that's when you hear a lot of the stories about that's when it kind of starts working for you. And that has kind of been true for me. A lot of my gains this year have been, obviously I was investing heavily during the dips, but it's also been capital appreciation, especially as the portfolio gets bigger. That kind of outweighs my just typical dollar cost averaging. So that's kind of the story of how I think the portfolio will be going forward from now as well. Even if we have a look and you look at the historical values of my portfolios, across these two different graphs, you can see it's been up and to the right over the years, and I am closing in on hitting 5 years of investing. So I will do a video on that at the end of July, as that's kind of when I started my journey. I taught myself how to invest, and I opened up my first brokerage account. But you can see over time, as these portfolios keep growing, that's the growth kind of aspect of it is now taking up a bigger percentage than just my dollar cost averaging, compared to at the start when mainly the gains in my portfolio were just from putting more money in. So yeah, it's been a pretty good story for me. So I think if I can keep going, doing what I'm doing, and hopefully hit potentially around $140,000 by the end of the year, that'd be massive for me. I think that's probably a bit ambitious. I need the markets to really help me. So maybe let's say 135 or so, and then secure enough money to have a deposit for an investment property. I'd say I'm really doing well personally for building my wealth going forward and kind of diversifying. But yeah, that's kind of the main things I wanted to show in this update. Again, nothing's changed in terms of my investments. Potentially I will put some money into my stake account, especially with the way the AUD and USD exchange rates have been trading. It's been a bit better. So as things get closer and closer and the value of the Australian dollar rises against the USD, that does incentivize me to put more money into this portfolio, as I'm transferring it at a bit of a better rate. But worst case scenario, I'll keep putting money into my Vanguard account here, and hopefully I can get this to hit 60,000 sooner than later. But that's just a bit of a quick update on how things have been going with my portfolios. And again, this will be my biggest dividend ever, so that's pretty exciting, and I plan to reinvest it. But feel free to share what your biggest dividends you've ever received are for a month, and I'll do another video next week. Cheers.